Joseph Mtonga YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and share. Last time we were discussing the cell, and at the end of the lesson I gave you an assignment to go and list the differences between plant and animal cell. And I've just brought those two cells. You have on my far right the plant cell, and on my far left here you have the animal cell. Now, it was going to be very easy for you to list the differences from the structures of these two cells. The first difference that I noted myself was, first of all, to look at the shape. Look at this shape here, okay? This is the animal cell, and there. These shapes are geometrically different, okay? You will see that the plant cell has a definite shape and it's irregular. In this one here, the shape is not definite and it is irregular. Then another difference, structural difference that you can notice is in terms of the cell wall, which is only present in the plant cell, and there is no cell wall in the animal cell. And then another notable difference is the presence of, at the center of the plant cell there, you have this structure here which we call the vacuole, which is permanent. Whereas in the animal cell, normally you have temporary vacuoles which are not normally seen. They are only seen when they perform a specific function. Okay? And that is the third difference, I think. And then the other one you look at is in terms of the distribution of the cytoplasm. In the plant cell, you will find that the cytoplasm is just a thin layer. It has a thin layer because most of the bulk of the cell is occupied by the vacuole. Whereas here you have the cell, the cytoplasm is quite largely, it has a large distribution. Okay, you can see there's a large space for cytoplasm. And normally, in most cases, you'll find that in animal cell, the nucleus is centrally located. It is at the center in most of the animal cells. Whereas in plant cell, the nucleus is not centrally located. You can see the location of the nucleus there. Then the other structure that we have not shown here, which is also a difference between these two, is the presence of a certain organelle, which we call chloroplast, which is only associated with the plant cell. And the chloroplast is the one which, especially in green plants, is the one which contains chlorophyll. So plant cells have chloroplast, while animal cells do not have chloroplast. So those are some of the differences that you could have pointed out. And if you checked your answers, I hope I'll be most grateful if you got all of them correct. Okay, now next we go to another topic. It's concerning cells again. And remember, one of the characteristics of living organisms is to grow, that living things grow. Now, we said that the cell is a basic unit of life, and that the cell is a building block of complex organisms. Now, if the cell is a basic unit of life, and if it's a building block, that means when cells come together, when they pile on each other, then they make an organism grow. And therefore, we come to a topic which is known as the cell structure organization. We come to cell structure organization. So that means, how is our body organized from cell to organism? Okay. So we say that when cells, we can say that the starting point is the cell. But as you go further down this way, and you find out, you find that we don't just begin with the cell. In actual fact, we begin with atoms and molecules. These atoms and molecules form cells. And then from cells, you have 2 or more cells of the same type forming a tissue. And the tissues are formed, and the tissues come together to form an organ. And the different organs come together to form a system. And the systems work together and come together to form an organism. To form an organism. Let me just illustrate what I'm trying to say here. Now, an example of a cell will be muscle cell. E.g. muscle cell. And here, an example of a tissue, you have these muscle cells coming together, and then they'll form a tissue, and that tissue will be called muscle tissue. For example, you can form a muscle tissue, smooth muscle tissue, skeletal muscle tissue, and so on and so forth. You form a muscle tissue. And then the organ, for example, in this particular case, if the organ we have here, e.g., is the heart, which is the heart, which is the cardiac muscle. Okay, the heart, e.g., heart is an organ, and it's cardiac muscle. Okay, that is the muscle of the heart. So the heart is made up of different types of tissues. Okay, that come together. It's made up of muscle tissue. Okay, then it is made up of nervous tissue. They are also there, and then these different tissues form what is known as the heart. And then the circulatory system here, e.g., the system for this particular one, we can think of the blood circulatory system. As one example. Okay, so the organ of the heart and the other organs come together, and the blood vessels which are connected to these organs, then they form what is known as the blood circulatory system. And then the various systems of the body form an organism, which maybe in this particular case, it's you and me. We can say here human. You will find that as a complex organism, as human beings, we are made up of different types of body systems: reproductive systems, excretory system, respiratory system, okay, digestive system, okay, and all these systems work together to form this structure we call an organism, you and me. And that is strict cell structure organization. So very quickly, you must be able to understand how this growth comes about. So you can see therefore that this is an aspect of growth from a single cell to a multicellular organism that is you and me. Thank you very much for your viewership. Until next time, but don't forget to like and share. I'm your host, Joseph Mtonga.